We're on our knees, crying out to you. Show us your glory. Show us your glory. Let your kingdom come. We're on our knees, we turn to you. We lay our lives down, we're laying our lives down. Let your will be done. You come and save our land, 'cause your ways are higher, nothing is higher. Glorify your Son. Let your kingdom come, let your will be done as we bow before you now. Come and lead this land with your mighty hand as our hearts all cry as one. Holy Spirit, let your glory fall. 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 'Cause we're on our knees, we cry out to you. You show us your glory, show us your glory. We're on our knees, we're turning back to you. Lord, show us your glory, show us your glory. Holy Spirit, let your glory fall. Holy Spirit, let your glory fall. We're on our knees, crying out to you. Show us your glory. Show us your glory. Let your kingdom come.
I've muted myself. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Social Distancing Live with me, Rob Westall. And it's a very special edition of Social Distancing Live tonight. Very shortly, I'm going to introduce you to a very special guest, Mr. Dave Bilbrough, and really looking forward to what he's going to bring tonight. But before we crack on, it's only polite and right to say good evening to you all. So please comment below. We're live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter tonight. So please say who you are and where you're looking from. So hello to Dad, Frank Westall there. I'm early tonight. That's a first. Sarah Hilton. Hi, Sarah. And Nancy Westall, Mum's on the emoji again. Oh, Mum, you need to stay off the emojis. Absolutely fantastic. Hi to Beulah Cheeseman. And hi to Brenda and David Tucker. Hi, Uncle David. Hope your leg is healing well. And it was good to see you from distance earlier today in the garden. And happy birthday to my cousin Sarah, of course, your daughter, Sarah Thomas. And we were talking earlier today. I'll tell the story when we get Dave on, but we've got an interesting Dave Bilbrough story that we will share with Dave when he comes on it just shortly. Steve Quantick, evening bro, couldn't make it to our house group tonight due to kiddo having a late bedtime. Oh, love to Judah and Katie, and good to see you watching there from YouTube. Anna, my wife, is on the comment section as per usual. We've had a bit of a battle with Matty tonight getting to bed on time, but she's made it. She's just said hello to everybody there. Evening to Mark Small. Evening, everyone. Looking forward to hearing Dave Bilbrough and Robbie, of course. For those of you who don't know, Mark Small used to teach me in Sunday school, and affectionately calls me Robbie. So that's quite nice. And hi to Sarah. Happy birthday! Please, everybody, give Sarah some birthday love. Put some birthday cake emojis and things like that in there as well. And there we are. Gavin from the Rhondda. Hi, Gavin. We've got a Rhondda scene that Gavin has sort of shot for us there, and there's a cross in the hillside in the Rhondda there. Hi, Gavin. Hope you're well. And Chris Holland as well. Hi, Chris. Hope you're well. And good. And there's Nat from the Rhondda. There's a Rhondda person. Hi, Nat. Hope you're well. There you go. So without further ado, let's introduce our very, very special guest this evening, Mr. Dave Bilbrough. How are you, Dave? Welcome.
I'm very good, Rob. I'm good. Yeah, or Robbie, should I say? Lovely
Indeed.
to be with you.
Oh, it's great to have you here, and it's absolutely fabulous. I met my cousin Sarah today. It's her birthday, and we were talking about tonight. And you stayed at her house once, David and Brenda Tucker in Bramau, all those years
David
ago.
Tucker, yes, that was Nancy Glow Centre, Leisure Centre.
Yes, good memory, Nancy Glow Leisure Centre.
And if I remember, we had the band with us. Part of the mystery tour. That was the name of the album. And. Yeah, we had a really good time. I love it when I come to Wales because they really sing and they really get into it, you know. And there's something, especially when I do the Valishal Ring, you know, there's something really special about that. So, especially your part of the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
no, I mean, Sarah, to be fair, was saying that was quite a pivotal moment for her. You actually stayed in the house, yeah. So God bless you. And Uncle Dave has sadly broken his foot at the moment, so.
Oh yeah, big shout out to David. Yeah. I stayed with you, and let's just hope that foot sorts itself out pretty quickly, and you're back, well, jogging and doing all the things that I see people doing in the local park every morning out of my window.
At least 2 meters apart, though.
Oh yeah, at least 2 meters apart. Actually, when you go walking, I don't know what it is. I'm trying to walk in a straight line, and I get these joggers running straight towards me, and it's me who has to go to the side and into the mud while they career past me. And I enviously look. I wish I could be as fast as them, but there we are.
There we are. So, Dave, how has lockdown been for you and the family? Where are you based first and foremost?
Well, I'm in East London.
Yeah.
Very close to West Ham United football ground, which is just a 15-minute train journey away. And that's where we live. That's where our base is. That's where all our friends are. And of course, I'm away a lot, travelling and touring, and most of the time. Not this particular time, I might add. I'm stationed at home, but it's near the big city, near the big smoke. So scenes I take for granted, like seeing the bridges and seeing the Thames and being on the dreaded tube. Some people, are in awe of when they come for a weekend visit, but I'm used to it all the time. That's why I like the countryside. You get out, but it's a good place to live. It's where all our friends are, church, relationships are. So we're pleased to be here. But yeah, lockdown has been a strange time for me because, like yourself and all musicians, you have a diary filled with different activities, and all of a sudden it changes, and my goodness, you have to adapt. And like you, I've been doing all the Zoom things and all the different internet-based musical things, which is drawing out some different skills for me, trying to get them all to work. But we're getting
Yeah.
there anyway.
And yeah, of course, all you said there, you tour extensively and have done for many, many years. And so this is a completely different season for you, of course. And
Yeah.
but you are still gigging, aren't you? Every Saturday, I've tuned in a few times. You do a gig
Yeah.
every Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a story about that, actually, because what happened, literally, lockdown began to emerge. I think it was just before it was announced. I thought, well, we're supposed to be musicians, and declaring good news. So let's do a concert. So I did one on the internet on a Saturday afternoon, 4:00. And I began to get a feel this is going to be bigger than I thought it was. I thought I'd just be sitting there with the guitar and playing a few songs and that was it. But I discovered people around the world were beginning to tune in. So I did one, then I did another one off the back of that. And then I was about 3 into it. And I remembered that a year before I was at a meeting with a whole group of musicians, and a friend of mine, Wayne Drain, who's someone from America, is a musician, but he preaches and he speaks and he's an encourager, a pastor as well, but he's one of these people who moves in the area of hearing God and speaking out what he might be saying in a very kind of normal way. There's a lot of weird and wacky prophets in this world today, but Wayne is not one of those. He's one of those people who just got a very gentle spirit. And he turned to me on the last final session and said, I see coming out of your front room music, treasures, songs new and old, coming, and he was stressing again and again and again, from your front room. And when I did the concerts, it's now in my 10th week. I was glad after 3 weeks that I suddenly remembered that prophecy, and it gave me the confidence and the courage to keep going with it. So it's been now 10 weeks.
Amazing.
I sit in my front room and play my songs, and some new, some old, and like yourself, people call in and request songs and all the rest, and it's fun. It's a fun time. But people from all over the world, which is great.
Incredible. And just if you're just tuning into Social Distancing Live, our very special guest tonight is Mr. Dave Bilbrough. And if you've got any song requests, Dave, if you remember them, you said that you'd give it a go.
Yeah. Yeah, occupational hazard, especially when you get to my age. Yeah.
And
actually, I'm normally pretty good. Yeah.
And also, if you've got any questions for Dave, please pop them in the comment section, and I will get them to you. We've had one question come in, actually, Dave, already.
Yeah.
Gavin from the Rhondda says, "Are you a Hammers fan?"
I certainly am. I went to my very first match in 1964, where West Ham played the All-Stars. It was a friendly game. My dad took me there. We won 5-0, so I was very happy. And then we went on to win the FA Cup that year. We beat Preston and North End 3-2. I could probably recite all the players, and I've been a Mad Keen fan ever since. Of course, you go through seasons where it's lots of downs, and I'm kind of hoping this season finishes early, because that way we'll be safe from relegation. And if we do get relegated, my goodness me, there'll be trouble, because we've got that massive stadium. But I guess you're Cardiff City, aren't you?
Yeah, for my sins, unfortunately. I had a similar experience to you in that the first few games I went to, they won everything, and I was a keen Liverpool fan at the time, and they used to win everything. And I was turned, and my grandfather took me to Ninian Park. I think I'd been a very naughty boy, and that's why he took me there. And I assumed they were as good as Liverpool, and then that was it. And then they were rubbish after that. So it's been an experience, shall we say?
Now, are Cardiff City in blue still, or have they gone to red and back to blue, or what?
We're back in the rightful colour of blue now, yeah. We're back on blue.
Yeah. And the seats are blue?
Yeah, the seats are blue. There are some red seats as well.
That was a bit of an expensive mistake, wasn't it? Eh?
Yeah, absolutely. But red apparently was a lucky colour, but not for us. We got relegated from the Premier League wearing red. But no.
Yeah, because you had Man U's manager, didn't you, at the time? Did you?
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, yeah.
Yeah.
I was working for the BBC at the time, and I got to interview him, and they called him the silent assassin, the baby-faced assassin, and the football reporter at the time couldn't make the after-match interview because he was doing his his phone-in show. So he said,
Yeah.
"Oh, Rob, here's the mic. Will you go down and record it for me?" Because I was working for BBC Online at the time.
Yeah.
And I got told that you only get one chance with him, and if you mess up, he
Yeah.
shuns you from the club. So I went down there and said, and somebody said, "Oh yeah, Fraser Campbell. He was man of the match. We beat Fulham that day.
Yeah.
He was man of the match, and he hasn't slept for 48 hours. His wife has had a baby." So I was going through the motions with the questions. And I said, "Oh, Fraser Campbell had a great game, Ollie." And he goes, "Oh yeah, Fraser was everywhere. He was left back, right back, da da da." And then I made the mistake of saying, "And mother and baby doing well?" And his face just completely changed.
Oh no!
And the stare that he gave me,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I just knew then. I had that in the back of my mind. Oh my gosh, it's my first big interview, and I'm going to get banned from the ground. So I just said, "I'm so sorry." And he goes, "It's all right, son. Ask me another question." But there you go. There's a different. I don't know where that came from, but yeah, that's an aside.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Dave, we're both massive football fans. I remember supporting you. Thank you very much for allowing me to support you when you played in Abergavenny a couple of years ago.
That was a great night, and you did really well. You did really well.
Thank
It's
you.
good. We had some fun. Yeah, I had my son with me, Dan, on percussion, and he's still doing his music, and of course he does his own stuff as well. So that was fun. That was a fun night. Yeah.
No, and
Enjoyed
I
it.
really appreciated your generosity, and you've always been really encouraging and a real inspiration, especially having grown up with your music as well. So thank you. I just want to honour you publicly and say that.
Yeah, have you been playing some songs as this series has developed? Do you play some songs?
Not every night because that would kill me.
Right.
But I also like to get other voices on because familiarity breeds contempt.
Yeah.
But no, I like to. But it's such an honour to have you on the programme tonight, and we've got a song request that's come in. If this is all right with
really?
you,
Yeah,
and
sure.
it's not a family show. I do promise you that, but it's just the first one that's come in, and it's from my dad, and he says, "An army of ordinary people."
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, you want that? You hearing the guitar right?
Yeah, it's all coming through great. Thank you.
Okay. An army of ordinary people, a kingdom where love is the key, a city allied to the nations, heirs of the promise of home, a people without recognition, but with their destiny seed, called to a heavenly vision. His purpose shall be fulfilled. A new day is dawning. A new age to come. When the children promise shall grow together as one. The truth long neglected. But the time has now come. When the children promise shall grow together as one. A people without recognition, but with their destiny seed, called to a heavenly vision. His purpose shall be fulfilled. Come, let us stand strong together, abandon ourselves to the King. And His love shall be ours forever. This victory song we shall sing. New day is dawning, a new age to come. When the children promise shall flow together as one, the truth long neglected. But the time has now come when the children promise shall flow together as one. A new day is dawning, a new age to come. When the children promise shall flow together as one, the truth long neglected. But the time has now come when the children promise shall pull together, rise apart. Yeah. And you know, that was one of those songs that I kind of got an idea for it. You know, the title, An Army of Ordinary People, that lends itself very much to some sort of images. And so I remember sitting actually up here in this room and working away at it, writing it. And then I took it down the road to my friend Nick, because I think it's always good to have someone you play a song to, and he's someone who's always encouraged me and helped me along my way with words of, go for it, Dave, go for it. And I used to take my songs for him to listen to, and I remember I spent hours on this song. I took it to Nick and I played it to him, and he said, I like the first line, and he said there's another line about the fifth line that I like, and the melody's good, but I think you might need to work at it a bit more. So that is not what I wanted to hear. So I went home feeling quite disconsolate, sort of threw the words in the bin and thought, oh, that's it, I'm never going to write another song, I'm giving up on that one, and I'm going to become a postman now, you know. And a month or two later, I sort of unfolded the words and read them and thought, oh, actually, he's right. So it made me sit down and really work at the lyrics that much more. And out of it came a song which I'm still singing today. So
incredible.
It was worth doing. And thank you, Nick, for that advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not as bad as one friend of mine, very famous worship leader. And, well, he was working with a producer. I won't say who it was, but somebody, again, very well known.
Yeah.
And he sent a batch of songs to this producer, and the producer said, he said, there's a song. He said, there's one, and he sang the melody, and he said, I like the first word. He said, Lord, that's a good word. He was known as the Butcher.
Wow.
Yeah, but, you know.
Did you ever work with the Butcher? Or?
Yeah, I did work for the Butcher. Yeah, 2 albums actually. So 2 albums with the Butcher, and he always was good. I mean, I would sit there writing these songs, because I think when you're a songwriter, you know, what you think is a good song might not be the best song. And a good producer, his job is to coax out the best from you. And you know, you might like a particular chord, and that might to impress people, or a particular phrase that sounds great to you, but to other people listening, it may not hold together. So yes, the Butcher. You would sort of play your songs to him with what's the word?
Trepidation.
Trepidation. That's why you used to work at the radio. Trepidation. And you play your songs to him, and he would, you know, I like that. I don't like that. I like that. And he was saying, Dave, for this album, there's something really magical. I want you to magical, really special. I want you to be tapping into. There's something about your ballads, he said, and they're so personal. He said, I really want you to dig deep, you know. And he was pushing me this direction. So don't send me the complete song. Just send me some sort of ideas. Just send me some ideas. Forget about writing songs. Just write ideas. And so I would send him these ideas on cassette in those days.
Yeah.
And I remember the phone was by my bed, and it was 2:00 in the morning, and it rang. And he said, Dave, he said, you've just sent me the song that's really the one that's going to propel this album forward. He said, that's the direction, that's the vein of gold, just keep to it. I tell you what, I worked on all the other songs, and he liked them all. That song he was talking about never made it on the album. So 2:00 in the morning he rings me up.
Incredible.
Yeah, that was the Butcher. I won't say who it was.
No,
but he's a very good friend of mine.
We've got some more comments come in.
Yeah.
Sarah, whose birthday it is today, of course, says, can you sing Your Love for Me is a Mystery? But I think that's Dave Bryant's song, isn't it?
That's Dave Bryant's song. Yeah, I was with him the other day. I got him to do a gig with me.
Brilliant.
It's just brilliant. No, I'm afraid that one is Dave Bryant. And actually a good song can be sung by lots of people, but only he can really sing it to give it justice. And unfortunately, I haven't got the lyrics to be able to do it. So
No
I'm
worries
sorry
at all.
about that.
No worries at all. Angela
Yeah.
Johnson says hello.
Hello, Angela.
And Beulah Cheeseman says, can Dave sing How Wonderful, How Glorious, please?
Yeah. Let me just get in tune. It's very hot up here. I don't know. Are you hot in your room?
It's really, really hot, yeah. And
Yeah.
tomorrow's going to be the hottest day of the year so far, apparently.
Yeah, really?
In Wales, anyway.
Wow.
That's on the Welsh
Yeah, I
forecast.
think so. Yeah. This is my special rain song guitar, which
Yeah, one of our
abroad with
viewers, Steve Quantick. Steve is my guitarist. We co-write together.
Yeah.
He says, I remember when we saw Dave at Spring Harvest many years ago. I think his son Dan was drumming for him. But he asks about the guitar as well, and what make is that guitar? Really like the ergonomics of that cutaway.
Yes. So this is called a rain song. It's made in Hawaii. It's all graphite. So it's a great guitar for when I go away to foreign countries with hot climates. And it is a hot climate here tonight in my room. So, which is at the top of the house. So the great thing about it is that it doesn't, shift or move. It's all there. And there's little dolphins
Oh, it's
all the
beautiful.
way up the fretboard, which is really nice. And it's got a little microphone inside. So, yeah. I mean, my regular guitar I play is a Guild guitar, and I've got a couple of Martins and a 1960s 12-string, but you always see me live with the Guild, but I've got other ones that I write songs on.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
funny, yeah. How wonderful, how glorious is the love of God. Wonderful love, how wonderful, how glorious is the love of God. Bringing healing, forgiveness. Wonderful love, let's share celebration and go through this land. We bring reconciliation, we bring hope to every man. How wonderful, how glorious is the love of God, bringing healing, forgiveness. Wonderful love, we proclaim the kingdom of our God is here. Come and join the anthem, ringing loud and ringing clear. How wonderful, how glorious is the love of God, bringing healing, forgiveness. Wonderful love. Listen to the music as it praises the air. With joy and gladness to the people everywhere. How wonderful, how glorious is the love of God, bringing healing, forgiveness. Wonderful love, how wonderful, how glorious is the love of God, bringing healing, forgiveness. Wonderful love. Yeah, and I always remember recording that song. Actually, we did it at a live album, which was in my hometown here, and it was a big leisure centre. And I brought into the band a fiddle player. Now he's the only. He was an Irish fiddle player, but he came from France, so he was French, but he spoke with an Irish accent. His name was Jean-Pierre Rodolphe, and he played with a friend of mine called Rodney Cordner as a folk duo. Right? So I brought him over from France to play in an Irish style, and that was his style. But I always remember it because there was the bar just down the road and just down the aisle. And I remember playing with the band. Till Bryant was on drums, and the band were all there doing their thing. And there was Jean-Pierre Rudolph with long hair and a big pint of Guinness by the side of the stage, playing away. It was great. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, my. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, yes, yes. Okay, well, we can do all three of those. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, that'll be a good one to finish. We'll finish the show with that one. That'll be, when the time comes, that'll be a good one. Yeah. Oh, lovely. Well, can I send that emoji back? We'd love to all those who are watching. Appreciate you spending time on a, what are we? Tuesday. It's Wednesday. Yeah. Oh, Kath. Ah, yeah. Oh, Kath. Uh,
Dave, my mic has been off. Sorry, guys. I've just been reading out your comments, and my mic is off. It's the brand new studio picture behind me. It's just all the tech has gone through the window.
Yeah. Well, I heard Kath was online, and hello there. Has Kath been on the show?
Yeah, Kath was on last week. In fact, yeah, it was a really good one.
Oh, yeah. You see, you had quality then.
Exactly.
Quality. Yeah, yeah.
Only the
Love
best,
you
Dave.
and your husband. Yeah, yeah. So we do all hell of that. We do wounds. We let there be love. Yeah, we can do all those. And I am a new creation. Yeah, that'd be great.
Great stuff. I think that's all of the comments for now. Requests, sorry, but All Hail the Lamb is coming in big. Actually, Beulah Cheeseman says she loves that one too. There we are. So do you want me to go through those again? Because I gave you quite a list there.
No, I've got them in. All Hail the Lamb. It's funny actually because I think it's a God-given thing really. Because we got Abba Father, we got All Hail the Lamb, we got An Army of Ordinary People. So when Songs of Fellowship was published, there were lots of songs of mine in the A on the first page. So you open it up and it looks like it's a whole Bilbrough book. But actually, I'm not so strong on the B's and the songs started with V.
So it was worth writing a song beginning with A then back in those days.
Yeah. Good tip for you there. Get the A in.
Marvellous. What song are we going to hear next, Dave?
Okay, let's do Wounds, because I think that'll be a good one. Yeah. We got it on video, but I think, do you want me to do it on live?
Yeah, whatever you'd like. Wherever you like. Yeah, it's your show.
Let's do it. Let's do it live, yeah. I'm going to take these off for that, because I think I'll sing better without them. My heart and soul cry out to Jesus. He is the one that I adore. I've tasted of his loving kindness. Now I surrender with my whole. 'Cause I've seen the beauty of forgiveness at the cross where mercy is revealed, undeserved and so amazing. By his wounds my brokenness is healed. By his wounds my brokenness is healed. My heart and soul cry out to Jesus. He is the one that I adore. I've tasted of his loving kindness. Now I surrender with my whole, 'cause I've seen the beauty of forgiveness at the cross where mercy is revealed, undeserved and so lazy. By his wounds my brokenness is healed. By his wounds my brokenness is healed. 'Cause I've seen the beauty of forgiveness at the cross where mercy is revealed, undeserved and so amazing. By his wounds my brokenness is healed. By his wounds my brokenness is healed. Yeah.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. That was Wounds by our very special guest tonight, Mr. Dave Bilbrough. Thank you, Dave. And Carol, who asked for that.
Yes, Carol.
She sent some fantastic emojis, one of which was the worship emoji with the two hands in the air, love heart, and also one of her crying. I think that song means an awful lot to her, so thank you very much.
Was it you, Carol? Was it Carol coming back on the train from Moorfields?
No, that was Michael. Michael. Yeah.
What did you request, Michael?
I'm just going through the comments now. Michael asked for Let There Be Love.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to do that now?
Yeah. If you're whatever you're happy to do,
Yeah.
So Michael Rose, hi Michael. Hope you're well. By the way, he's a regular on the show. Michael, a friend of the show, coming back from London, having been to Moorfield Eye Hospital. Would you ask Dave if he could play Let There Be Love?
Yeah. Well, this one was written a long time ago. Actually, what happened locally, we had a little sort of inter-church festival which took place in our local park, and somebody requested, one of the leaders requested I write a song for the week, and sometimes it's good to have that sort of challenge where somebody says, "Oh, write a song, Dave, for the week," and so I sat down and wrote this song, which again I'm amazed all these years later is still being sung. Let there be love shared among us, let there be love in our eyes. May now your love sweep this nation, cause us, O Lord, to arise. Give us fresh understanding, brotherly love that is real. Let there be love shared among us. Let there be love. Let there be love shared among us. Let there be love in our eyes. May now your love sweep this nation, cause us, O Lord, to arise. Give us fresh understanding, brotherly love that is real. Let there be love shared among us. Let there be love. And this is one of those songs where when I'm singing in churches, usually people link hands and sing it together, and if you're in a sort of traditional Anglican church across the aisle, they link up. And I often say, if you're with your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you're on safe ground. If you're standing next to someone you've never met, who knows, this could be the start of something really big. Of course, we can't do that now, can we? Not at this moment in time, anyway. Let there be love shared among us. Let there be love in our eyes. May now your love sweep this nation. Cause us, O Lord, to
absolutely fantastic. Let There Be Love by a very special guest, Mr. Dave Bilbrough, here in Social Distancing Live tonight. And Dave, Sarah Hilton says, this was one of the first songs I remember singing at our small church in Zambia many years ago. So blessed by it, and there's lots of emoji love there. Brenda Tucker says, so good to see and hear you, Dave. God bless Dave and Brenda. And there is also Mr. John Chadwick says, is Dave still writing new songs? Of course, I know the answer to that, of course. But
yes, Dave is still writing new songs. Yeah. I mean, that's what I do. It sort of comes with the territory, really. Usually I go through sort of spurts. I write a few, and then it all goes quiet, and I think, is it time to call it a day? And then I get stirred again. But I find, generally I'm sort of making notes. People say things. You probably said something tonight. Afterwards I'll make a note. You used an interesting phrase there. And that's all kind of the part of the process of writing a song. It's all sort of going into the soil. And then when you start to get stirred in a direction, you kind of let it trickle out. But yeah, I've just released an album, some months ago now, called Hidden Kingdom. And that's my latest offering. And of course, once you release an album, you've written another batch of songs. But that one was particularly interesting for me because I thought I wanted to branch into some new territory. So I brought in a chamber choir. But it's still me with acoustic guitar and singing, but it's got more of a kind of chambery choir feel, and there's percussion on it. Just because it's nice sometimes to sort of freshen things up and do things different ways. One of my musical heroes is Paul Simon, and he uses different rhythms and different flavors and different beats. And I've always been inspired by those people who can do one kind of album and then move into another bit. But I'll always be known, of course, for the worship songs. Which I love to do. And
I remember speaking to you at the time when it came out because it blew me away, the album. I thought it was fantastic, but the having sort of obviously, like you just alluded to, you're known for worship music. To do something quite different like that must be quite scary. Did you?
Yes,
find
it is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's because you think people have got a certain hat put you on, and you're moving into a new direction. Not as terrified as when I wrote a series of books about worship. Now, songs you sort of feel slightly more comfortable with, but when you're writing a book and you're writing long thoughts, that was scary when it was published. I was thinking, oh my goodness me, what people on earth going to think? And I've just got into podcasting, and that's another scary thing because people get, they're used to you singing, but talking, and like you are tonight, Rob, and it's a different skill. So, but what happens is you write a song, you're pleased with it, and then you sort of wait to see what the reaction is. And with the genre, with the style, you wait and see what the reaction. Of course, some people love it, some people don't like it. That comes with the territory. And one of the first things you've got to learn as a musician, who, you tend to be sensitive, you tend to be people who feel things, and it's very easy to get discouraged. One of the first things you learn, you've got to develop a bit of a thick skin, and you've got to surround yourselves with people with people who, will tell you the truth, but also encourage you. And if you've got that attitude that, yes, I'm going to try something new and go for it and move into some new territory, and you believe God's leading you in that direction, then you should go for it. And, if people don't like it, you've learned something along the way. But I'm pleased to say it has had a good and positive reaction.
Sure, and for anybody out there who writes songs or has started to write worship songs or perhaps dabbled in the past and been discouraged or anything like that, did you ever get discouraged along the journey, and did you get disappointment? And what would your advice be? Yeah, well,
I think, it's funny, isn't it, words, how phrases people, sometimes they mean things in the most innocent ways, but if you're sensitive, it can take it on board, and you can get 9 positive reactions and one sort of slight little, hint of something, and you take it on board. So you've got to learn to judge things, you've got to learn to trust your own heart, And I think someone said something recently about songwriting, that the best songs are written about reducing something down to the tiniest audience, almost just a small group of people, and realizing that that truth that you're writing then can become universal because other people can latch onto it. So when it comes to people saying discouraging things or doing discouraging things, unfortunately, it's part of the process. When it comes to festivals, you play on the big stage, but people don't realise you played on the small stage with 15, 12 people, starting out and finishing with 6 people. And I mean, I went to Australia once. I played some big events in Australia on a tour, and then I went to Wagga Wagga, and I played in front of the promoter, who was a vicar, his wife, and his dog. And that was the audience. So you have your big moments, and then you have your small moments, and it's realizing that in the big picture, you've got to just hold on to God, recognize that your identity isn't what you do, it's who you are.
Absolutely.
And that is so important. And out of the innermost being of who you are will come through something fresh and something original. So learn from other people, but be yourself, and be prepared for a few hits along the way, because you get them, unfortunately, but some highs as well.
And what about when you mentioned earlier a producer who's known as the Butcher? When you share a song with people and you think it's the best thing since sliced bread, do you have to kind of be a little bit flexible? Where do you make the decision that actually I take on board what you say, but I'm going to go with it? Yeah. Okay. Well, I think you work with people that you build up a trust with. That's the important thing. Yeah. So if you don't trust that person, or out of a relationship have a trust, then you're starting from a bit of a non-starter. And sometimes, I found a producer will try different attempts at trying to change who you are because they want to put their stamp on it rather than your stamp. And a really good producer, the one you can trust, is one that draws out what you are, the essential you. But with all these things, if somebody has got a criticism, you don't immediately have to necessarily take it all on board. But the important thing is to listen and think, maybe they've got a point, maybe there's something I could tweak here and there, and maybe it could sound better. But balance it out, share it with other people around you. And I always think that a network of friends around you is so important. People who give you a bit of feedback, but also are prepared to say, actually, I didn't like it where it went down. It would have been much better if it went up at that point. And the average person sometimes has got some really good views, but you need to field it a little bit. Yeah, sure. And build up a trust. That's work with people you trust. You need to know where it's coming from and whether it's coming via a filter or whatever, don't you? Yeah. I can relate to an awful lot of what you said, to be honest. And one of the key scriptures for me over the past few years has been Joshua 1 verse 9, where it says, "Have I not commanded you? Do not be discouraged." It's not a choice; it's a command. And I love what you said about our identity isn't being a songwriter or worship leader. Our identity is being a Christian and being a child of God. Well, our identity precedes our function, really. Our identity comes, Jesus went out into the wilderness. He was baptized. He went out into the wilderness, and the devil 3 times tried to trick him, tried to take him away from his identity. If you are the Son of God, then do this. And sometimes we think we've got to, write a new song to be accepted, or we've got to sell a shed load of albums to be accepted. The truth is, we are accepted as we are, whether we write another song, whether we do some great feat or not. We are accepted because we're loved unconditionally, not for what we do, but for who we are. In the same way with your kids. I mean, I know you had trouble getting one of them to sleep tonight. I do know that. But you love it. Is it he or she? It's he. It's Matthias. He's 2 years old. You love Matthias unconditionally, don't you? Totally, yeah. And it's not because he's done this great feat. He's scored a goal for Cardiff City today. No, it's not because of that. It's because of who he is. And God loves us like that. That's our relationship. Now, the great thing is once you start to think that, then I believe you really do become an artist, because you begin to be who you are, because God wants us to be who we are.
we're all made unique and original. Yes, we learn from other people, of course. Yes, we're influenced by other people, of course. My guitar style, you know, I started because I loved James Taylor and some of his songs and the way he played the guitar and his chords, and I thought, oh, I'll try a bit of that. I couldn't quite do that as well as he did, but I did get my own style. And out of who we are then begins to flow a river of life. And sometimes we're trying to push that river, but actually the river flows. And from that place of knowing that God loves us unconditionally, he gave himself for us unconditionally, and as our worship then becomes a response, and that's what true worship is, seeing and then responding, declaring and then responding. And, you know, it's this eternal circle that flows through us up towards God. Worship starts from seeing who Christ is, from seeing that his love is an unconditional love, his grace flows towards us, and all he asks of us is to begin to get into that river and begin to flow, and transformation then begins to happen in a wonderful way.
Thank you.
We're off.
Thank you, Dave. That's so encouraging, and thank you for sharing that. And Anna has just said, my wife, he is still awake now.
Oh, he's still okay.
Reference to Matthias.
Bring him over here. I'll get him sorted out. I'll sing him a lullaby.
There's Bula Cheeseman says, when did you first start writing songs?
Okay, well, I first started writing songs shortly after I became a Christian, actually. I don't come from any religious background, so it was all new territory for me, very new. Started to go to church, and they were singing these songs from hymn books, which I never used before, using all these phrases I didn't know existed, sort of biblical kind of terminology. Very sincere, but I couldn't quite connect, so I started to strum away with my guitar, an old guitar. And out of that I learnt 3 chords, D, A and G. When I felt joyful I'd play them fast, and when I was more meditative I'd play them slowly. And I discovered E minor. Oh, that sounds so spiritual, so rooted in mystery and intimacy. So I would sit up, and I didn't know any songs. There were perhaps a few from the Jesus movement that would begin in Scripture. Seek ye first the kingdom. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. That was kind of beginning to emerge. But I suppose, having played 3 or 4 chords, I then sat in my bedroom and just used to la to God. Na, 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 na. And then that became, Lord, I praise your name forever. And gradually that sort of inspirational singing developed into a song which I had a tune for. Da, 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 da. And that became, the next day I wrote down the words, which were, and the Father be yours and yours alone. And that became a song which became popular, passed, around different places. And it gave me the courage to write more songs, and that was it. Suddenly I discovered what I was about, which was to write songs and communicate them.
And at the time, Dave, when you picked up the guitar and you referred to, you used to go to a church, they used to sing hymns, was it quite groundbreaking to play with the guitar and play new songs that you'd written yourself?
It was. Bringing a guitar into church, you'd get some strange looks, and then came the transformation that guitars was acceptable. Then I remember Dave Engel brought his drum kit in a few years later. Actually, at this time we were meeting in I started out my journey in a Baptist church, still a very good relationship with them, but it didn't quite contain where I was and where we were as a group of young people at the time, because the Holy Spirit was moving in powerful ways, and there was a new ways of doing church which were much more informal than the traditional style. And along with that came these new songs that began to emerge. And so there I was as a young guy, sort of beginning to write material, and we couldn't find a hall to meet. This is some while down the track, and so we started to meet in this old East End pub called the Cauliflower.
Wow.
And it was a real East End, joint. And we were down, and downstairs it was all happening. And I remember it because these meetings were loud, and we had upstairs, and they were raucous, and they were raw, unvarnished, and they used to go on quite a long time as well, and a strong Pentecostal element to them. And I remember I had to go and visit the gents' toilet. Now that was downstairs, and we were upstairs, so there was a big sort of Victorian staircase. We had to go down the staircase. And I remember walking down and actually looking and saw the landlord with a phone, and this is before mobiles. He had a white phone and he was holding it up in the air. And I thought, well, what has happened here? He's holding this phone up in the air. And then he put the phone to his ear and he said, he said, that's them lot, those Christians upstairs. He said, they're having a whale of a time, much better than we are down here. I thought, well, that's how it should be, isn't it? That is the gospel. It's good news to people.
Yeah.
And we should be communicating that out to the world. And so Dave brought his drum kit, and that got a few raised eyebrows. And, now it's all gone very high-tech with screens and a whole camera and a band up on stage. And my goodness me, how things have changed.
Well, we've got some questions that are coming in. But before we get onto those, I wondered if we could have some more music, if that's okay. And I've got to sort of say, Sarah, who it's her birthday today. She said, could you sing Holy Ground? I've checked, and you definitely did write that one.
yeah, that's right, yeah. Actually, this takes this imagery from the time where Moses, who this great leader with many natural skills, he was banished out into the wilderness because he'd done some really bad things. And he must have, I don't know, lost heart, perhaps lost the feeling of his destiny, and he certainly was very hurt. But then the Bible says one day Moses saw from afar this burning bush, and as he went to examine, he saw that something very, very sacred was happening. That God was in the burning bush, and God was speaking to him. And, well, as an act of worship, he took off his shoes because he wanted to recognise that it was holy ground. Now, I'm not asking you to take your shoes off tonight. You might be in the living room and might create a bit of a smell with it being so hot. But, there's something about recognising that where we are is holy ground. By that, I mean that God is amongst us. And with the fun we've had tonight and this, the stories and Rob leading us so well with his interviewing skills, his presence has been with us, is with us. And to everyone listening and watching, I want to say, God's not given up on you. He's there in your midst. You might feel isolated, you might feel lonely, you might feel confused, you might feel you've just been to the hospital and you're on your journey back, and what does the future hold? Well, we can only live in the now. And in the now is where the eternal God is, because God can only be known in the now, right now. Right now, where you are. It's holy ground. This is the place where dreams are found, where vision comes, called holy ground. Holy ground, I'm standing on holy ground, for the Lord my God is here with Your fire burns, but never dies. I realize this is holy ground. Holy ground. I'm standing on holy ground. For the Lord my God is here with me. The grain I have revealed to man. Take off your shoes. This is holy ground. Holy ground. I'm standing on holy ground. For the Lord my God is here with me. Here with me. Here with me. Here with me.
Absolutely fantastic. That was Holy Ground by our special guest tonight on Social Distancing Live, Mr. Dave Bilbrough. Dave, that was absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you said before it as well. Really sensed
Thank you.
exactly what you said, and had a bit of a worship myself while you were playing it off air. Thank you. God bless you. And
Yeah.
I'd just like to rattle through a few questions because we've got so many
Yeah.
questions, and I want everybody's
Okay.
question to get to you, if that's okay
Yeah, yeah.
with you.
Sure.
So first of all, we've got Glenn Ingle. Hi, Glenn.
Yeah.
Hope you and Louise are well. What song does Dave most like himself, both his and someone else's?
Oh, right. Okay. So what song? Well, it's always the next song you're writing. It's always a song that is very special to. Actually, there's one which was recorded on an album a long, long time ago, which I thought it was a great song, but it never quite lifted off. And it's a song which is called "Raining in All Splendor." Some watching might know that song. It's got a really big big sound. Raining in all splendor. And big drum sound to it, big anthem. So that song is one that I've always enjoyed playing. I like the song "Wounds." We sang earlier, and "Holy Ground." That's one that I like. A song from somebody else. Well, Noel Richards wrote "All Heaven Declares." I wish you'd have done that one. I wish I'd have written that one. That's a classic, isn't it? Eh? Another A, you see. God got it wrong when he gave it to Noel. It should have been Abba Father or Army of Ordinary People. Then no, All Heaven Declares. No, that would have looked good in a songbook. That is a great song, great melody, and great soul of worship, which will last the time. I love, The Heart of Worship, Matt Redman. Yeah, and of course some of the Bethel songs that they've written now. What is that one? You say, what is it? You say. I love that song. Yeah.
There's another question that's come in. Steve Quantic, I must declare an interest. Steve, I co-write with Steve, and he's my guitarist in my band.
Oh, cool.
But he says, what current worship artists are you really enjoying, Dave? And then he puts, apart from Rob Westall, obviously.
Oh, of course. Rob Westall, yes, no doubt about that. I like some of the Bethel musicians, I think, because they've got a heart of worship, and it really comes out with the songs, and there's a flow. That's another one, isn't it? No Longer a Slave to Fear. That's another great song. So yeah, there's a whole crop of different people. But then, of course, there's someone like Brian Houston, who sort of straddles between being Irish singer he is.
Yeah.
Straddles between being a worship leader and a performer. And I love the mix that he brings, because I think sometimes people get very stereotyped in one kind of particular box. Oh, I'm a worship person, therefore I don't play chords that are very complicated or whatever. Brian can, really sense that. So I love some of his stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of people around. Kath Waldridge, who's watching, of course. So what a stunning voice,
Yeah, absolutely indeed. And Gavin from the Ronda, as he's known, says, are there any modern singers / bands artists that Dave gets inspired by, Christian or not Christian?
Well, you see, my son, he brings in all these different things. Sam Lee, who's an English folk singer. Now, he's got a sort of cult following because he sings unaccompanied folk songs. He's about your age, Rob, but he's sort of the new generation of folk singing, and he's known for going out and singing with the nightingales out in the country. He sings in the forest, and his songs accompany the nightingales around about this time of year. So I love those sort of off the wall people. I like the sort of musicianship of bands like Radiohead, because I think they've just got something fresh and new, and they speak in a different way. But yeah, I've got quite a wide taste really in different sounds and songs that I like. But of course, I always come back. My generation, people like. I mean, Bob Dylan's just released about his 81st album. One of the songs is 14 minutes long. In fact, that was the one he released as a single.
Wow.
I mean, it's like just a poem set to music, really. But, he's pushing out different borders. And my all-time favourite songwriter is Joni Mitchell.
Wow.
And she did a song called, an album called Blue, which the words, but also the colours that she creates with her music is so powerful. Yeah.
Great, and there's some other comments I'd just like to pass by just before we hear some more music.
Yeah.
But Carol says, say you will come to Abergavenny again sometime.
I'd love to. Yeah. Let's get through this lockdown, and we'll see what we can do. I'd love to. I always love coming to Wales. Yeah.
Marvellous. Sarah, who the last song we heard, she requested, it's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Sarah. Thank you so much for your amazing worship, Dave. Emoji. I grew up listening to your music and dancing to it. It definitely had an impact on me and helped me to turn to God myself. I was a teenager at your gig in Nanty Glow, and that was a pivotal moment for me. I also love worshipping and singing myself.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's really, really great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
There you go. So Dave, I don't know how much time you've got actually. Sorry for keeping you so long. It's
right.
Flown by. But you're welcome to stay as long as you want. What song would you like to play next?
Well, perhaps I should finish with a couple of songs, link them maybe together. All Hail the Lamb, that was a well-requested song. And then maybe move into I'm a New Creation.
Brilliant.
All Hail the Lamb, I'll tell you how that started from a trip to Wales.
Really?
Yeah.
No, not being stereotypical at all with lambs and sheep and things like that.
Yes, well, there we are. No, what happened was I was leading a meeting in Aldershot at a big theatre, and I had this trip to Wales, from London to Wales. So a friend came with me. We were in his car, and he said, I've got a tape recording of the meeting last week. So he said, should we listen to it with you leading the worship? Now, that's the last thing you want to do.
Yeah.
Listen to yourself, because you hear all the bad things, So, but it was a long journey, so I said, yeah, okay. So we put this tape on, and I was doing some singing, and then in between songs, I sort of sang, "Oh, hail the Lamb." I said, stop the tape, I'd like to take that home with me, so I took it home and then worked on the song.
Wow.
And I thought, there's an idea of a song, so I did All Hail the Lamb, but I couldn't get the last line. And I was on a retreat conference in Holland with Graham Kendrick. I was sharing a room with him. And it was just the last line. I couldn't get it. And I very nearly said to him, Graham, shall we finish this song together? But I stopped myself. I'm so glad I did, because He would have been credited on that one. Anyway. All hail the Lamb, enthroned on high. His praise shall be our battle cry. He reigns victorious, forever glorious. His name is Jesus. He is the Lord. You're going to have to help me sing it, everybody. Come on now, you roots all hail the Lamb. Enthroned on high, His praise shall be our battle cry. He reigns victorious, forever glorious. His name is Jesus. He is the Lord. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm used to singing that on a big stage, and you can belt out the high notes there. But I am a new creation. That was requested earlier, and I think that'd be a nice one to sing.
Marvellous. Dave, before you crack on with that, just a few comments, just to honour you. It's so important. Andrew Robinson, I grew up singing this song. Carol says, yes, his name is Jesus. And Jimmy and Anika say, All Hail the Lamb is one of the most beautiful worship songs. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And Beulah says, so beautiful.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for joining with us tonight. Rob, you're doing a great job night after night. How many weeks you been doing this?
I think this is week 8, I think. I've lost track. I think it's 8 or 9, I don't know.
All right, okay. Well, I'm going to finish with this song, and God bless you all. Remember, live in the good of the words. It's not just a nice tune, but it's some truth, which is biblical truth, which we need to, in our daily lives, lay hold of in a powerful way. So here we go. I am a new creation, no more in condemnation. Here in the grace of God I stand. My heart is overflowing, my love just keeps on growing. Here in the grace of God I stand. I will praise you, Lord. Yes, I will praise you, Lord. And I will sing all that you have done. The joy that knows no limit, a lightness in my spirit. Here in the grace of God I stand. I am a new creation, no more in condemnation. Here in the grace of God I stand. My heart is overflowing, my love just keeps on growing. Here in the grace of God I stand. And I will praise you, Lord. Yes, I will praise you, Lord. And I will sing all that you have done. A joy that knows no limit, a lightness in my spirit. Here in the grace of God I stand. And I will praise you, Lord. Yes, I will praise you, Lord. And I will sing all that you have done. A joy that knows no limit, a lightness in my spirit. Here in the grace of God, here in the grace of God, here in the grace place I've got stand you.
Fantastic. Mr. Dave Bilbrough, a very, very special guest on Social Distancing Live here tonight. Thank you, Dave. That's
Thank you,
uplifted me. I'm sure. I hope I didn't put you off. If you could see me singing
No,
along
no.
there, I muted the
No,
mic.
it's nice to see. Yeah.
Before you go, I'd like to read some of the comments, but also ask you about where people can get hold of your music, what you've got coming up, and that sort of thing before you pop off. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. It's a real honour to host you. And so basically, we've got Glenn Ingle. He said, "I came to the Lord in 1985, and Dave's songs really brought me on." So that's Glenn Ingle there. And Sarah Hilton, "All Hail the Lamb" is such an amazing worship song. I have played and played and played this all my Christian life. Nathaniel Freeman says it's 9 weeks, so we've been doing this for 9 weeks.
Oh.
There you go. Andrew Robinson, who himself, he released an EP on Friday and came on the show. He's a Christian songwriter himself, Andrew Robinson. Says, "What a classic. This was a favourite in my home church in the 90s. Thanks, Dave." Carol Wanyama, amen. And then Sarah says, "This is one of the ones I would dance around the living room to." Chris Holland says, "Special night. Thank you, Dave." And lots of emoji love there from Steve Quantek. And Beulah says, "I grew up with this. I've always danced to it and never tire of hearing it. Thanks, Dave. Your songs have been a comfort and encouragement throughout my Christian life. God has and is using you mightily. Thank you." And
Wonderful.
Janice Jones, my mother-in-law, says, "Thank you, Dave. Love listening to you. Brings back so many memories." Sarah Hilton, "What a blessed evening. Thank you so much." And Simon Reyes from Premier Christian Radio, no doubt, says, "Great stuff, Dave. Love it." So, Dave, thank you so much. And you mentioned Hidden Kingdom, and I've got to say, guys, that is a fantastic album. Please check that out. It's awesome. Dave, there's lots of other music you've done, by the way. How can people get hold of it? Because this is what you do full time, and it's right to honour you.
Yeah. Well, best really to visit my website, davebilbrough.com, where you can see all the stuff, all the albums, and obviously Spotify and Apple. What is it? Apple Music nowadays. They've got it there. You can download it and listen or stream, whatever. Couple of things I'm doing at the moment. On Saturday afternoon, 4:00. If you go on my Facebook page, you'll see my homespun afternoon, where I sing and share and chat songs new and old, which is fun in my living room. Then I'm starting a podcast series which is called Hidden Kingdom, where the thing about that is it's to create or to talk to creative people about nurturing a greater understanding through the church of creativity and the arts. We've got this incredible gospel we've been born into. It's dynamic, life-changing power. But through the arts, often we're very anemic in the way we present it through our music, through our poetry, through our storytelling. So I'm speaking to various leaders in their field with an aim of encouraging people in their own sphere of calling to develop their gifting and step out of the box that perhaps they've put themselves into, and allow that creativity to be expanded and in new and fresh ways. So you can get that by going either to my website, there's a podcast page, or going on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You'll be able to pick it up. The first edition is up with Ray Hughes.
Wonderful.
Who some people will know in this world. Yeah.
So that's out at the moment, so they can access it.
Yeah, the first one just come out a few days ago. An interview I did with Ray Hughes, conversation, and then there's other people following, poets, Malcolm Guite, Graham Kendrick. A number of other people that I've been talking to that will be coming through with that series. Yeah.
Wonderful. So guys, please check that out. That's www.davebilbrough.com, and you can find the podcast on there, all Dave's music. I would advise you to buy CDs from Dave's website, because you get more money for that, Dave, don't you?
Yeah.
Rather
definitely, especially these times, we need it.
Exactly.
Don't we all?
Exactly. Thank you so much for coming on tonight, and
thank you, Rob.
Thank you so much for your time and your generosity, and also your encouragement. It's a real inspiration, and I don't think you realise how inspirational you are. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you everybody for listening. Yeah.
Nice one. We're now going to end, Dave, with the Key Workers video, if that's okay with you.
Yeah,
Would you like
sure.
to tell us a little bit about it
Yeah.
before we say goodnight?
Okay, so this really grew out of the homespun where I was singing my songs new and old, and I had somebody write to me saying, because obviously there's a focus during each one where we honour the key workers and we thank them for what they're doing, be they hospital workers, be they social workers, be they police, be they people working in homes. Somebody wrote to me and said, why don't you write a song? So I sat down on the Wednesday and wrote a song, and on the Saturday played it, and people really seemed to like it. So before I knew it, people were requesting it and using it for their church services on Sunday to honour those. And so it is a song for the key workers. It's based around the scripture in Isaiah where it talks about how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news. Well, of course, they're not necessarily believers, but many of those people who are the doctors, the nurses, the people who are treating are actually showing a side of God's compassion without even knowing it, because God is the carer. And so I changed that. How beautiful are the feet of those who share their skills. And it's a simple ballad, but seems to help people focus on giving our thanks to those people who are the key workers in our time, in our day right now.
Great, thank you, Dave. Well, this is the new song, Key Workers by Dave Bilbrough.
How beautiful are the feet of those who share their skills to stem this tide. Here's to the care workers, nurses and staff doctors fighting this virus attack. Hospital caterers, porters and ward cleaners, piercing our darkest hours with light. How beautiful are the feet of those who share their skills to stem this tide. Delivery drivers, shopkeepers and shelf stackers, helping us weather this storm. Doing shifts voluntary in this emergency, offering practical help to all. How beautiful are the feet of those who share their skills to stem this tide. Frontline practitioners, teachers of key helpers, serving in so many ways, responding unselfishly in local communities, tirelessly giving themselves each day. Strengthen, work through them, we pray. Strengthen, work through them, we pray. Strengthen, work through them, we pray. Strengthen, work through them, Lord, we pray. How beautiful are the feet of those who share their skills to stem this tide.
Mr. Dave Bilbrough, our very special guest on Social Distancing Live tonight, and thank you so much to Dave Bilbrough. I really hope that inspired and blessed you and you thoroughly enjoyed that this evening. Happy birthday to Sarah Thomas, my cousin, and happy birthday to you. Hope you're well and hope you've had a great birthday. Thanks for tuning in on your birthday, and great thank you for everyone who's tuned in. Thank you for all the contributions, the questions for Dave. Please check out Dave's website, as he alluded to there. We've lost all our gigs, including Dave, and his website again is www.davebilbrough.com, and the latest album, Hidden Kingdom, is absolutely fantastic, that he did with the chamber choir. Can't recommend that highly enough. And of course it's got all his other stuff on there as well, loads and loads of music to choose from. So if you enjoyed tonight's programme and he inspired you and blessed you, please honour him by getting an album or two. Tomorrow night we've got a slightly earlier time and an earlier start to Social Distancing Live tomorrow night, and we have got former Premier League footballer Gavin Peacock. That's at 8 p.m. Gavin Peacock. Gavin used to play for Newcastle United, Chelsea. He fired them to the FA Cup final back in the mid-90s, and he also played for QPR when QPR were good, and also Charlton as well when they were good as well. Gavin Peacock, former footballer. He also was on Match of the Day. He's one of the top pundits, and then gave it all up to become a minister, and he's a minister at a church in Canada now. So we'll be talking all about his football career. So if you've got any friends who are into football, please, they will definitely know who he is. Tell them to tune in tomorrow night, 8 p.m. for Gavin Peacock. He'll be talking all things football and faith, and it should be a real good, interesting interview. We've also got Pete Jones from Elevate Church as well, coming on after Gavin as well. So a bumper programme tomorrow evening. Please tune in and tell all your friends about it. Such a good programme to hear about Gavin's fascinating story. So that's Gavin Peacock tomorrow, 8 p.m. Note the earlier time, it's earlier than usual tomorrow on Social Distancing Live. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight. It's been a great one, and really honoured to have Dave Bilbrough on tonight, and a real inspiration to me personally, and I know he has been to so many of you, as we've heard tonight through some of the comments as well. But thank you all for a great evening. I hope you're well, and hope to see you again tomorrow night. Don't forget, 8 o'clock tomorrow, Gavin Peacock, former Premier League footballer, followed by Pete Jones from Elevate Church. Please spread the word. Please tell your friends and family about it, to tune in. I don't want them to miss an awesome opportunity to hear Gavin's fantastic testimony. From me, Rob Westall, my wife Anna Westall, has been struggling between the comments and putting Mateus to bed and trying to settle him, and everybody involved. Thank you very much indeed. A special thanks once again to Mr. Dave Bilbrough, absolute legend. Night God bless everybody, and please tune in tomorrow. It'll be great to see you again. Night God bless.